management, drainage, and others. Then the other objective, key core objective, is to, as we do that, to build the skills and capacity of the institution and the youth to and the citizens to do that themselves with some of the new tools available, and to put also all of this data to package it so that different users can have access to it, from like paper maps to more advanced IT systems. So usually we like partner, the World Bank team partner with, of course, the local government, but also with universities. And then together they work with some of the communities to use some of these technology tools, and as well as just like using big A0 maps to be able to map the different neighborhoods and cities which are facing some of the issues I mentioned earlier, like flood risk, for instance. And at the end, so using this suite of tools, going from like the laptop and satellite imagery to drone to 360 cameras to mobile phones, we can really create a digital map, and usually it's uploaded on OpenStreetMap to make it available to as many people as possible. And always in each city, this work has been done in collaboration with the World Bank team and the city to focus it on issues that are really critical in the city. So in some places, it was more focused on flood risk management and drainage mapping. Some other places, we've been working on solid waste management, or some on urban upgrading and so on. And you can see there is a large span of cities that have participated in the program over time around different phases, but it goes from west to central to East Africa. So after, I guess, 2 years, this is about how many people were trained. Like over 1,500 people were trained if we take into account all of the projects from Tanzania, one of the first one, and Niger, to some of the cohort of 10 cities that did it together, to some of the newer cities like Bamako, Abidjan, and other cities were just, and Yaoundé, who did it more recently, for instance, who have been, so that's kind of overall, I think now the numbers are much higher. And in all of these places, if we added all the mapping that has been done, it's over 1.5 million features, so such as building or schools, hospitals, roads, and so on that have been collected. And what's key here is because we're doing that in close collaboration between universities, citizen, and government and the World Bank, it's been informing over $150 million of investment in urban upgrading, drainage investments, and others. And so we really want to make sure this data that's been collected and the participation process is being seen then in decision. Session will be organized with now that I've done a quick introduction. Each city will do like a 5-minute a 4-slide introduction just to give you the context, and then David will be facilitating the discussion for the other half of the session. So I think we'll start with Monrovia, which is was one of the cities that participated in the cohort with everyone. So that we finished about a year ago, and so it'd be interesting to hear from them also how now this data and the skills and how these things have evolved over time. So I think Carter, if you can hear me, and we have Carter Draper from iLab Liberia, which is a local innovation hub in Monrovia. And we have a director, Henry Williams, from the National Disaster Management Agency, who is speaking both from the mapper point of view and from also the government point of view. So Carter, are you ready for this quick 4-minute presentation?
Sure, sure.
Okay, let me know when you want me to switch slides.
Okay, good morning to everyone. My name is Carter Draper from the iLab Liberia. So the picture you are seeing here is Monrovia. Monrovia is one of the oldest African cities and is the largest city in Liberia. It is home to over 1.5 million inhabitants. However, the city has a very low elevation coastal areas and swampy lands, and as a result, the city is highly prone to challenges like flooding and sea erosion. The next image you have there is called the Dole community. This is one of our areas of interest under the Open Cities Africa Monrovia project. This community, like many other communities in Monrovia and across Liberia, are nearly flooded all year round. Under the OCA project, we're able to work with youth from these communities to collect relevant data on flooding barriers, especially affecting women, girls, and children living in communities. And these data are now then used by different stakeholders, different institutions to design initiatives and programs to help support these communities. As one of the impact from the Open Cities Africa project, we're able to establish an open mapping network. And that open mapping network is formed from the community mappers from ILAB Liberia, the Open Street Map Liberia team, as well as the youth mappers from across several universities. As an impact from that youth mapper, we're able to support the COVID-19 response through a rapid response project that was able to map out health facilities, mapped out COVID-19 facilities, as well as visualize COVID-19 cases to make sense of it. And in the photo that you've seen, we donated a couple of the printed materials to the Ministry of Health, to the county health teams, through the Ministry of Health.
Great, thank you, Carter. Really nice to see that the experience for the flood mapping was very then transferable to do also mobilize the people and to do the mapping during the COVID-19 for the COVID-19 response. And we'll hear more for you after from you and Director William just after the presentation from Zanzibar and then Cameroon. So I don't know, Raya, if you can, if you hear, or is it Ibrahim? I don't remember. So yeah, from Zanzibar, we have Raya from the University SUSA, and we have Ibrahim from the Commission for Lands. And I guess you may know already, but Zanzibar has been really kind of a center of innovation in Africa, in East Africa, in Africa in general for mapping, starting with mapping the whole islands with drone coverage, and then doing also community mapping as well as street views, 360 mapping, and so there's a lot of interesting things that are happening in Zanzibar. So yeah, I give you the floor now to give us a quick 4-minute overview. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I think you can hear me.
Yes, perfect, Raya.
Yes, okay, I'm Raya, an assistant lecturer from the State University of Zanzibar. I'm also working as a Resilience Academy internship program coordinator for the part of SUSA under the Tanzanian Urban Resilience Program. So the picture that you see here is Stone Town, which is the most center or a World Heritage Site for the Zanzibar island. And the Zanzibar island is specifically depending on tourism for most of its economic activities. And in particular, the islands produce different spices such as cloves, nutmeg, cinnamon, and black pepper. And that's why it is sometimes called the Spice Islands, of course, together with the Mafia, the island that is closer to Zanzibar. So that was about Zanzibar. And now, actually, as previous speaker has said, like there are many interesting projects that have been done in Zanzibar, including the drone mapping and other initiatives. But now we have this Resilience Academy program where students are engaged in doing the mapping activities, and they are equipped with tools, knowledge, and skills in order to address the world's most pressing urban challenges and ensure resilience urban program. And for this year, we collaborated with the Commission for Lands, and the students were mapping Nungwi site. Now, together with that, there are some other projects that are being performed in order to make sure that there is an availability of open data set. For that picture, you can see there's Zanzibar buildings upload, mass uploads with the map, with the AI. And in this project, the Commission for Lands is the one that was organizing these events, but the students are involved in working with the people from the Commission of Lands. In addition to that, there were some other, okay. Now you can see here from the picture, this is the statistics of the buildings and hotels and other businesses that were collected by the students and are uploaded into the OpenStreetMap. Before, the Nungwi site was not mapped, and it was missing a lot of features in the OpenStreetMap and other places. So students have done a really great job, and this data, of course, is being used by the Commission of Lands for different purposes, as we'll describe later, and Mr. Ibrahim is going to talk more on that. But on our side, of course, the students are equipped with the digital tools and skills and knowledge to work and help with the community and to ensure resilient urban development in Zanzibar. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Raya, for this quick overview. It's hard to do in 4 minutes with everything happening in Zanzibar, and we'll hear a bit more from you and Ibrahim just after the last presentation. So for the last presentation, we have Yaoundé, who actually has been doing this type of work over the last year and a half, so a bit after kind of the main cohort of Open Cities Africa. And so it's interesting to see how they learned also from this first phase of work and see what they've been up to. So I think, and we have Willy Frank Sob from Sogefi, a local firm who has been like the lead implementer for the work. And we have Madame Leju, director for studies at the Ministry of Urbanism and Housing. So your turn, Cameron. I think Willy, you start, or Madame Leju, up to you.
Merci pour la parole donnée. Je vais démarrer.
Just one little thing, maybe. Pardon, Madame Leju. Just one thing I will remember people, if you want to hear in English, you can click at the bottom of your screen. There is a button called Interpretation, and you will get simultaneous translation into English if you need. My apology. Okay, you can go ahead.
Ok, merci beaucoup. Je disais, vous avez là une vue du centre-ville de la ville de Yaoundé, qui est la capitale politique du Cameroun et le chef-lieu de la région du San. C'est l'une des deux grandes métropoles du Cameroun, avec Douala, la capitale économique, avec
with Douala as the business capital, with 2.3 million inhabitants, with a surface area of 310 square kilometers.
Cette colline, le territoire est un site naturel assez difficile pour l'urbanisation, mais qui présente dans le même temps d'intéressantes potentialités de mise en valeur des sites assez remarquables et touristiques. Cependant, sur le plan hydrographique, ça devient rapidement un réservoir qui est traversé par des cours d'eau, du fait donc de l'eau qui provient de ces collines et qui coule dans les bas-fonds. L'urbanisation à Yaoundé, il faut le dire, s'est faite au détriment du couvert végétal naturel, englobant ainsi les bas-fonds inondables et assez peu accessibles. Les zones périphériques ont rapidement et continuent d'être progressivement colonisées. Cependant, dans sa politique de développement des villes camerounaises, le ministère de l'Habitat s'active en matière de planification urbaine, conformément au texte, à apporter un appui aux collectivités pour se doter de documents de planification urbaine, apporter les infrastructures et équipements nécessaires. Mais il faut le dire, les enjeux et les défis sont assez importants et s'accentue aujourd'hui avec les questions de changement climatique. Sur la deuxième photo, est-ce qu'on peut avoir la deuxième photo?
Bon, allez-y.
Voilà. Du fait donc de sa géographie physique, vous voyez là sur la photo le numéro 1, du fait de sa géographie physique et du contexte géomorphologique, la ville est assez vulnérable aux catastrophes telles que les glissements de terrain, tels que vous le voyez là, un rocher qui se décroche carrément et là on a des habitations en bas et on a sur les autres photos rapidement des inondations qui peuvent rapidement survenir du fait donc du contexte géomorphologique. Il y a assez de ressources, mais ces ressources, très souvent mal gérées, peuvent être des sources de catastrophes. Donc, les effets étaient peu perceptibles à la création de la ville, mais aujourd'hui, avec l'urbanisation qui est assez galopante, les familles sont rapidement vulnérables. L'idée pour nous, dans le cadre du projet OpenStreetMap, c'était déjà de tester dans une méthodologie qui permettait d'intégrer rapidement les populations dans la démarche de collecte des données et d'adresser les questions de gestion de risques de catastrophes. Il faut le dire, même si les documents de planification urbaine étaient élaborés pour planifier ces villes, ces aspects-là n'étaient toujours pas pris en compte. Aujourd'hui, nous faisons des efforts d'amender les cahiers de charges pour prendre en compte ces questions. Dans le cadre du projet, la Banque mondiale finance le MINDU dans le cadre du projet de développement des villes inclusives et résilientes. Et pour ce faire, le MINDU s'est attaché les services d'un assistant technique, SOGEFI, qui va vous présenter la méthodologie de travail et les résultats que nous avons obtenus dans le cadre de ce projet. Donc, Willy, tu peux poursuivre.
Merci beaucoup, Madame Lejour. Comme vous le voyez sur la photo, c'est les différentes séances de formation, de renforcement de capacité qui ont eu lieu, de collecte de données. Nous avons utilisé des technologies innovantes, des téléphones portables dans lesquels nous avons inséré des photographies aériennes où nous avons pu collecter rue par rue l'ensemble des informations avec les photos à l'appui et la caractérisation des informations dont des services essentiels de la ville. Une fois réalisé, nous avons formé des acteurs à cela. Nous avons aussi mené des séances de cartographie participative sur des images aériennes pour tracer l'écoulement de l'eau. Prochaine photo. Voilà. En matière de produits dans le cadre de ce travail, nous avons mis en place pour chacune des collectivités, des villes dans lesquelles nous avons travaillé, un portail cartographique qui permet d'avoir accès à toutes les informations. Donc, toutes les informations sont désormais centralisées dans un portail. Toutes les images aériennes sont centralisées. Tous les points collectés sont intégrés aussi de manière à pouvoir produire un accès unique. Nous avons aussi réalisé à droite, on va dire à gauche en haut, un atlas cartographique qui permet, comme ça, quartier par quartier, d'avoir une connaissance stricte des zones inondables et aussi de l'ensemble des infrastructures exposées et vulnérables. Nous avons aussi réalisé une data visualisation qui est une façon assez aisée et simple de présenter la situation à des personnes qui ne sont pas forcément spécialistes. C'est aussi l'idée de la bande dessinée que nous avons réalisée à droite, en haut, qui permet à tout un chacun, donc des citoyens, de pouvoir lire et comprendre la méthodologie du travail et s'approprier de la philosophie avec une application mobile derrière qui permettra le dialogue spatial entre la ville et les citoyens. Voilà pour ce que je pourrais dire pour les résultats sur Yaoundé.
Merci beaucoup, Willy et Madame Lejou. Merci à toutes les équipes pour ce petit aperçu rapide. I guess I will switch back to English. So yeah, thank you everyone. Thank you all the teams. Now we'll get to the even more interesting part, I think, which is to hear directly from all the panelists about their experience, and having David Luswata from HOT who will be facilitating that discussion. So the Humanitarian OpenStreetMap team was one of the organization facilitating that open cities process in a couple of cities, but also providing a regional role in terms of providing support to help with technical aspects such as data quality, use of tools, contributing to the training at the regional meetings, and so on. And so it's my pleasure to welcome David Luswata to chair this panel and ask our panelists about their experience in the various projects. Floor is yours, David.
Thank you so much, Vivian, and welcome everyone. This is really interesting hearing the different stories so far. And it's just 3 cities we are highlighting here, but it's a total of 16 cities that are already benefiting and have participated in Open Cities Africa. And for this panel discussion, I will still be discussing with the different panelists that we have. Just a reminder, that's the Humanitarian OpenStreetMap team. We are very excited to be part of the Open Cities Africa program, supporting the different cities over the last 2.5 years. So I'll turn to Zanzibar first and foremost. Ibrahim, if I may come to you, hearing about your experiences in the Open Cities Africa project. And we know that Zanzibar indeed is one of the very innovative cities, and the team there has been using mapping and drone mapping in particular, 360 street view mapping and other community mapping. But we do want to hear how is this data that has been generated during these mapping activities, how is it being used by the Commission for Lands?
Thank you, David. I guess everybody can hear me.
Yes.
My name is Ibrahim from Zanzibar, from Commission for Lands. So basically, from my colleague Raya has said before, in that mostly we use students and we use open source tools to collect data set that help in different areas. So for our case, the Zanzibar government, through Commission for Lands, until now we have been using this data set for four main areas. And number one is development of SDI, special data infrastructure. So we have newly established Zan SDI. The aim is to connect all organizations and help them sharing their geospatial data sets. And then the entire framework is based on ZMI, Zanzibar Mapping Initiative, that the project that was used to map all the 2 islands of Zanzibar using drones. And then the digitization work followed after that. And these data sets are the core of the ZMI. That is, from these data sets, more data sets will be produced, as I will mention it in the second example, which is development of area-based upgrading programs and integrated program for local area development. This combine the aspect of improving community lives through integrated tourism developments. So we have selected townships in which the government intends to improve these 2 aspects that I've mentioned by creating local plans that will help to either promote heritage, protection of heritage sites, and also promote the livelihood of the communities there. And through this activity, that's when the Nungu mapping activity that was done by SUSA students came into being. And the students were required to collect ground truthing maps together with the community, or with the help of the community there in Nungwi, as a pilot, which will be replicated in other townships that this local development plan is intended to also touch. And the aim is to create actionable risk data sets. But the original data set that were used were these data sets that were collected from these other projects. So we have the data set from ZMI, Zanzibar Mapping Initiative, and then from these data sets, students are able to add more data sets or to add attributes. For example, when we talk about buildings, example of attributes that are collected are number of floors, building use. Also, there's a mapping of urban infrastructure. So these data sets present a core data that other data sets are produced from. And two more examples of how the usage of these data sets by the government of Zanzibar is we are using it to update existing topo maps. So these topo maps were created using traditional means. So this the mapping or the ZMI project came with as a huge boost to improve or to fasten the way that data is collected. And number 4 is property taxation. We have newly introduced property taxation law in Zanzibar, and also we are using these data sets to create the infrastructure, or I should say that the infrastructure of the property taxation in Zanzibar is based on this data that was collected or generated from ZMI project. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ibrahim. That's an interesting use case here from the Commission for Lands. And still in Zanzibar, I know that you've been working with universities and university students, and I want to turn to Raya now as an assistant professor at the university. You know, in class, you provide different types of lessons, practical lessons, and some are theoretical. I'd like to hear from you what you would say were the most important skills that MAP has gained from these real examples of applying mapping in real life, and how the Commission for Lands has been using this data. So I would like to hear how your take on the skills that MAP has really gained in this process.
Okay, thank you very much. Back again, and so now on the university side, when the students perform the mapping activities, they acquire different skills like the available open source tools, which are basically depending on their program. Maybe it's something that is new. For example, for our case, the Resilience Academy program students are selected from the computer science department together with the geography department. So you find it most of the time students think that this mapping activities is only
Yeah, we likely lost Raya there. Ibrahim, anything you want to add on the university component of the program?
Yes, because I know the methodologies or the way they are using students in mapping. So basically, the intention of the university through other stakeholders such as World Bank and other universities in Tanzania, they are working together to equip the student with skills and knowledge to utilize open source tools in relationship to GIS and geospatial technologies. To support these students to map, to support the student to be able to engage with the community and to help in using and producing data set that will be able to be used by the government, as I mentioned, in our case, and also by the local communities, because when we are doing this mapping, we usually involve the local community. You cannot just go in there and map, but when you want to map for the sake of creating these new plans or upgrading urban plans, you have to involve the community. So the community with the students are able to achieve this through that participatory mapping. Yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Ibrahim. Our time is running fast, but we do want to cover almost all of the cities we have represented here. And hearing from Yaoundé now, I want to turn to you, Willie, because one of the cities that we have really enjoyed working with in this program has been Yaoundé, and we want to hear from you, especially around the tools that you've developed, because once data is collected and integrated into OpenStreetMap, it usually it goes on to be used. And now, how do you make sure, and probably how have you made sure in Yaoundé, that it becomes accessible for the people who need it most? Interested to hear about the kinds of tools and products that are helping the various actors, local communities and organizations within your city to access this data effectively and use it.
Alors, merci. Effectivement, l'ouverture des données était un point stratégique dans le début du projet. Donc, je l'ai expliqué tout à l'heure, nous avons mis en place une plateforme où tout un ensemble d'acteurs de l'écosystème pourra avoir accès à l'information structurée en différents thèmes pour faciliter son utilisation. Une autre dimension très importante de ce projet, c'était le mécanisme de renforcement des capacités. Nous avons formé les universitaires, les entreprises et les institutions à la production, à l'analyse de ces données, mais surtout à la réutilisation dans le cadre de leurs objectifs, afin que les uns et les autres puissent en fait produire de la valeur ajoutée sur la base des données qui ont été produites. Et
to their work based on the data that we have produced, and the Ministry of Housing, based on this experience, created an observatory at the national scale on the cities. And Madame Lejoux will correct me if I'm wrong. Today, the idea is to come up with a strategy to scale up and to.
Thank you, Willie. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's great to hear. Director Madame Lejoux, I want to turn to you now because you're using this data already. We want to hear how this community map data and the tools that Willie just mentioned, how do they fit into the strategy of using data to inform local development in Yaoundé as a city?
Oui, déjà nous savons tous que l'un des aspects du développement des villes durables et intelligentes, c'est la gestion spatiale. Les données collectées et les outils mis en place nous permettent donc, pour ce qui est de la ville de Yaoundé en particulier, de disposer donc de la situation réelle en matière d'occupation des sols. Ceci pour une meilleure programmation et planification même des investissements dans la ville par les différents acteurs, et aussi d'évaluer même les effets et impacts des politiques et stratégies qui sont mises en place, qui peuvent être ajustées. Willy l'a dit, le MINDU a mis en place un système d'information statistique qui, à terme, envisage de devenir un observatoire urbain national à l'horizon 2025. Ce système, il faut actuellement l'alimenter, il faut collecter les données. Donc, les outils, les données déjà collectées dans le cadre de ce projet vont nous permettre d'alimenter ce système. Mais aussi, comme je l'ai dit, l'aspect gestion pour nous.
The governance of the city is very important as far as we are concerned, and we do believe that the data, and for that matter, we held a meeting and SOGEFI was invited, a number of stakeholders were invited to share information. And so ultimately, the idea is to make sure that the data is accessible by all the stakeholders for better governance, especially by the mayors who are the first governors of the or stewards of the municipalities. So it's a tool that will help the mayors to plan the investments that are carried out in the city. That's what I can add. And so the data, as far as we are concerned, the data is important and will be used to feed into the system that is being established, that is the National Observatory.
Yeah, thank you so much. Interesting use cases there. And we do want to hear from Director Henry Williams from Monrovia. Director, if I may turn to you now about how the availability of geospatial data may or is changing the way you approach your day-to-day work as the agency in charge of disaster risk management in Liberia. How, in your view or in your experience, how is the availability of this geospatial data improving or even changing the way you approach your day-to-day work? Director, if you can go ahead.
Okay, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, this is Henry O. Williams from the National Disaster Management Agency. First of all, I want to thank the organizers from the government perspective. We also want to be grateful for taking part in the Open City Abidjan meeting and the UAR meeting. I want to thank our colleagues here, the Monrovia City Corporation, IRAB, the World Bank, etc. We want to say that we really benefited from some of the interventions that we have done, especially the OpenStreetMap, which is helping the Disaster Management Agency and other city initiatives to locate and identify vulnerable areas for humanitarian intervention. Also, the Open City platform is also of great help, and information from the UAR Abidjan meeting is also of great help. Apart from the disaster aspect, we also learned a lot and other initiatives, especially when it comes to partnership, when it comes to coordination, and even to operate or make functional our DRR platform. We learned a lot, and we are making use of the links. The initiatives, the training, and what we are getting from ILAB here, we are able to look at natural hazards and climate change, and especially flood risk management, interventions that we are doing, then identification of vulnerable areas. And also these maps are helping, let's say, particularly, this is for me because I'm a waste management instructor at one of the universities, Stella Maris University. I was also a lecturer of waste management at the graduate program of the Cottington University, where I use these OpenStreetMaps to locate vulnerable areas or areas of improper waste management was done, and that even helped us to locate vulnerable areas as related waste in the coastal belt. It also is help us with, let's say, drainage mapping, because these are one of the attributes to flooding. So when we identify these maps, the drainage vulnerable areas, we are able to put some mitigation measures. And I want to say that we learned a whole lot about, let's say, really coordination and partnership. Because, for instance, in the drainage mapping, the Ministry of Public Works, we coordinated with them and collaborated with them. And also for data collection as regard urban resilience. So there are a lot of benefits that we got from this, let's say, partnership with the Open Cities Africa and the UL program. So I think I can stop, and Kata will expand technically. So I want to say thank you.
Thank you so much, Director Williams from Monrovia. Yeah, the really interesting, so many interesting components about this program, the Open Cities Africa program. What being able to bring all of these different stakeholders, community members, university students in usually the same room or in the same discussion forum is really been interesting. And we want to applaud that actually about this program. And I want to hear from Kata again from Monrovia about some of the stories you'd like to highlight. Were there any mappers that excelled, and also knowing about where they are now, how have their careers improved because of participating in the Open Cities Africa Monrovia project particularly. So Kata, over to you to share with us some of those stories.
Yeah, thank you again. I'm Carter here. The OCA Monrovia project has created a more sustainable footprint, which is our open mapping network. And that over the time, we have incorporated a lot of new mappers. And for every project that we have, we do not only just focus on university students and members of the network, but we go into the communities and we recruit youth from the communities, because in order to sustain and update these maps, we need people who reside in the communities to take initiative and support the process, and eventually will be available either on a voluntary basis or within the network to be able to support some of these initiatives. So yes, the network is growing, although the COVID-19 had an impact. However, even during the lockdown, the city was locked down for like 2 months. During that period, we were able to host our first online, like this Zoom called remote mapping or mapathon that was attended by more than 22 persons. And out of that, a good number of them were just very new to the network. So, and the network continued to work across different projects at the level of the university, at the level of the community, and across different institutions. But one key thing that we kind of, as a network member, that we often encounter and engage is, though we encourage stakeholders to use this platform, access the data. But for a particular project, there is just a handful of stakeholders that we usually work with. And so as we put out the word out there about this open data and all of that, we encountered questions as to how do we use this platform, how do we access the information. And so in addition to kind of training people how to use the OpenStreetMap, we also thought that, okay, relevant and frequently requested data, we could download this data into CSV, into GeoJSON file, into shapefiles, and have them just placed onto our website that people can just do one click to get a copy of those data sets. And so from our COVID-19 rapid response project, we were not only focusing on getting the data onto the OpenStreetMap, which we did successfully, but we're also able to kind of filter and create the same data into different formats that we have currently onto our website, and we now engaging. And from that point, we can clearly measure as to the need and the access to the data most relevantly than when it's on the OpenStreetMap. So the network members keep growing, and we are hoping that as this COVID has subsided gradually, we're now going to engage into training activities and more to get the network growing at the community level.
Thank you. Yeah, that's interesting to hear. Thank you so much, Kata, and thank you so much to all of the cities. Time is just not enough to discuss all the details of what happened and what is continuing to go on in the different cities. But I just want to, in just say 30 seconds, bring in Director Madame Regiu. What's next for your city in Yaoundé after this project? What's going on next now?
En 30 secondes, c'est déjà la poursuite de ce qui a été fait. Yaoundé, c'est cet arrondissement.
In 30 seconds, we are continuing with what we are doing. Yaoundé, we are building on what we've already started, not only in Yaoundé, and getting a good grip of things in the municipalities, in the local governments, and to extend this mechanism and system to all the local governments of Cameroon, and to show to the mayors that this kind of work can be done. If it has been done in Yaoundé, it can be done in their own cities. They can manage their space using this data and this kind of tool. And that's what we can quickly say, because we are constrained by time.
And so thank you so much to all of the panelists and to all of our participants. We may not be able to go through all of the discussions that we wanted to, but at least we do have a good picture of what's going on in the cities. And there are links that were shared earlier on. Please visit those different links and get some more information about this program. I want to invite Vivian again to wrap up the session. Thank you, Vivian.
Thank you very much, David, and thank you very much to all the speakers. It was very great to see this wide array of examples and different situation for the mappers, for the government side. It was great to hear from everyone and have this very wide example. And actually, if you as David said, it's only a couple of the examples. We have there's a lot more stories. We have blogs that have been written and videos and others that are available for if you want to explore more information from other cities or even more information from these cities, or to get in touch to participate in the initiative. But thank you very much again to all the speakers connecting from the different parts of Africa, from west to all the way to the east, going by Cameroon, and for all the attendants also. I think we had over almost 40 people at some point, so that's great to see everyone. And the session will be also recorded and made available, given that now this virtual conference, there are people from all over the world at different times of the day who may or may not be able to attend at the live time, but it would be recorded and put on the platform for people to follow it at all the time. And maybe just to really close, I think one thing we wanted to mention is also, if you're really interested in the use of OpenStreetMap for sustainable development and for humanitarian action too, HOT, so the organization from which David is from, is having their summit in parallel to the Understanding Risk conference. So on December 4th, so you will find all the information on the website, and you can also attend just after you are. Also as a virtual summit, you can attend and find more about all of this of various use of OpenStreetMap and data and tools and capacity building and other programs that HOT is putting together. And also the whole HOT community, because behind the HOT organization, you also have the HOT community with a lot of fantastic volunteers and mappers from all around the world. So I highly recommend attending and seeing that diversity there at the HOT Summit. So yes, thank you everyone again. We are actually on time. We even, I think, David, you had time for one more question, but I think we'll let the panelists go back to their activities. And thank you very much everyone for joining, and we'll be circulating the link to the recording, and feel free to share it wide so that more people hear about it. Thank you very much, everyone, for the session. Thank you, David, and thank you all the panelists, and thank you, Grace, for putting this session together. Bye.